So what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. I am David. On today's episode, we're going to get back into our Escalade series. We have a 2004 Cadillac Escalade. It is an EXT, which is the pickup version of the Escalade. And we have a left wheel bearing that is going bad. So before it completely craps out on me, we're going to take the time to replace it. And I'm going to take you with me for the journey. First thing we got to do is get this guy secured up on a jack stand with the jack underneath it, and then get that wheel off. Okay, and with the wheel off, we're going to take the caliper bracket and the caliper itself, everything off. There's two 18mm bolts. You can see the wrench is already on this one right here on the top side, and there's one down here below it. And we're going to pull that off, and then we're going to pull this here rotor off, and we're going to snatch this off with a 36. Before we move on, I just want to give a quick side note. If you have one of these, it's a 36mm. If you do not have air tools and powerful air tools at that, you might want to, while you have access to it, when you take the cover off and you can see the bolt and the car isn't even lifted up off the ground yet, you might want to take your breaker bar and some leverage and go ahead and break this guy loose before you get it in the air, and then realize you can't get it loose with your air tools, and then gotta drop it back down to the ground, put the tire back on, put the caliper back on, put the rotor back on, bring it back down to the ground, and then take this, and then go ahead and do that. If you don't think your air tools are going to do it, guys, just pop it loose while it's on the ground. And if you just want a little safety of insurance to make sure you don't have to do all that, redo all that work again, just pop it loose while you're on the ground. I know my air tools will take it off, so I'm not worried, but in case you're doing this job. So I picked up a 15mm wrench because I'm so used to playing with my little wobble socket back there and making it fit. But I decided we're going to try a different method. I got a 15mm. I'm going to put the closed end on the bolt behind here. I'm going to use a hammer and just tap it down and see if I can break them loose that way. The 15 did work. We just put it on there. We hammered it down until it broke loose. And on this side, we hammered up until it broke loose, and it worked. So now I'm just going to take the open end of it. I'm just going to take my time and just pull the 15s out. I got all three bolts just loosened up. You can see them pop out. They're just kind of loose hanging out back here. One actually came all the way out. The other two is kind of being held by the axle here a little bit. Not that big of a deal. Just leave them in. Now this guy has to pull off. Now odds are it's not going to pull off very nicely because we are in Jersey where everything rusts. So I'm probably going to have to take a hammer to this and beat on it a little bit. Keep a nice trusty hammer on standby and just hit it a little bit until it comes off. All right, so the install of this, now that everything's cleaned up, is just the opposite of the uninstall. So shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. Line up some splines, make sure your back cover's on the right way, and just, there's already a bolt in it. You see it here? So just gonna go ahead and slide it in, screw it up. All right, tires back on. Can't wait to go for a test drive. All right, so that's it for the Escalade wheel bearing replacement. Wasn't a bad job at all. I think it cost me about 60 bucks, couple hours worth of work. Wasn't a bad job, pretty easy to do. We used a 36, a 15, a 19, and a 22, and we got the job done. On the ground, no lifts, just a jack and a jack stand. Wasn't a hard job, wasn't that bad. Had to slug it out a little bit with getting the old wheel bearing out. But, you know, it's New Jersey where everything is full of rust here. So you become used to it at this point. And so, not a big deal. So that's going to be it, guys. We're going to wrap this episode up. Thanks for joining me. And as always, two things. Don't forget to take the time to enjoy what you do. And don't forget, work does not do itself. So don't be afraid to get out there and get after it.